Welcome to Missed Opportunities for Good, the podcast where we open up the space to have conversations about trends and campaigns at the intersection of marketing, advertising, and impact.
Hi, I'm Alana Ficalora.
Hey, I'm Steph Belsky.
We're social impact strategists, colleagues, and friends who are on a mission to revolutionize the industry we love.
Listen, today there's a lot of virtue signaling, greenwashing, cause washing, or companies saying nothing out of fear of getting it wrong.
Whether it's a moment or a movement, it still has to be real. It has to be authentic and aligned with the brand, not just performative. It's about the action being taken that goes along with the messaging.
So we're here to highlight who's doing it well, what could be better, and how companies can stop leaving money and the potential for real social change on the table.
We're kicking off season 2 by talking about the big game, the Super Bowl. Well, some of you tune in for the actual football game. Go Birds. There are also plenty of folks who turn into the game for the, you guessed it, commercials.
Which is why we're here. So we've got the quick hits highlighting the hits and missed opportunities, providing a different lens beyond the usual celebrities, babies, humor, sex, all the things that drive ad performance typically. And our hope is that maybe next year you'll watch the commercials with a more critical eye.
Today's episode will be a little bit different than our usual format because there's a lot to cover. First, we'll look at how different brands... So much. First, we'll look at how different brands are approaching women empowerment through sports and the hits and misses that came with them.
Then we're going to look at creative that had a direct connection to either nonprofits and or social causes.
And we'll wrap it up with some creative that may not have started out as supporting a social cause, but had an opportunity and may have missed the memo or is denying an association that clearly seems to be underlying their creative execution.
The true missed opportunity for good. So before we get into all of the spots, we want to call out some additional big game related content that we feel is worth highlighting. Alana, kick us off.
Yes, LA Mission had a very fitting post that puts the money spent on the Super Bowl into context of where else it could be repurposed for good. So it was literally very simple text. 1 Super Bowl suite equals 40 low-income family housing for a year. 1 30-second ad is 200,000 nights in a shelter, and 1 ticket is 3 months rent in LA. To break that down real quick, a Super Bowl suite costs anywhere from $100,000 to $2 million. So that's giving 40 low-income families housing for a year. A 30-second ad is $8 million is what they put, but actually the $8 million is just the media buy.
It's just for the media, exactly.
Just the media. So if you also were thinking, what does that even mean, 200,000 nights in a shelter? Well, there's 365 days in a year. So that's housing 547 people for a whole year in a shelter.
Wow.
With just the media buy of 30 seconds of ad time. And then tickets can cost anywhere from $8,000 to $60,000. So that's probably even more than 3 months rent in LA, depending on where you're sitting. Just a little perspective for you.
And Alana, LA Mission, they're a housing nonprofit in LA, right?
Yeah, and they provide other services for the unhoused community.
Amazing. Wow. Well, next, happy Black History Month, y'all. And Black history was made yet again. We are giving flowers to Autumn Lockwood, who's the Eagles' Associate Sports Performance Coach. Autumn already made history in Super Bowl 57 when she became the first Black woman to coach in a Super Bowl. But on Sunday, she made history yet again as the first Black woman to be a Super Bowl coach and champion. Autumn, well done. All the snaps, all the flowers. Incredible.
And while we're at it, Jalen Hurts has his whole female management team and all of that, which is icing on the cake. Okay, another woman that is behind the Super Bowl worth highlighting is Taj Williams, a.k.a. Queen Taj. She is a member of the Golden Eagles and even played football in middle school and was the captain of the football team as the only girl. fun fact.
So cool.
This is the first time the NFL collaborated with an artist outside their organization to design the logo. And she had created, in case you haven't seen, this beautiful, intricate beaded design that honors the culture of New Orleans. It showcases Black Indian masking, and this tradition holds a rich history of African American and Native American community resistance in New Orleans, which I think is a fun little tidbit to share, especially these days. And it was a really cool way, you know, to showcase New Orleans outside of that kind of like kitschy idea we tend to have in our heads sometimes. So I love that they classed it up a bit and really went deep down to the culture of the city.
I love it. I love it. It's little touches like that really make this, you know, bring the humanity of this whole production to light. So awesome. And speaking of humanity and social issues, Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance. Holy smokes. So much there. We could do an entire episode on all of the symbolism that most, let's just call it out, white people was lost on. And the amount of political statements that were made, and even from the set design, which was supposed to look like a prison yard, to how the dancers were dressed, which was also supposed to be a call to, you know, the Crips and the Bloods, but also prison uniforms, and like just mind-blowing, all of it. And actually we found a really great breakdown from Charmin Stevens, who said that, number one, Kendrick used Samuel L. Jackson to symbolize Uncle Sam, and I had also read somewhere else that it was like he was supposed to be the minstrel character, which was typically supposed to like clown on Black people, but the idea was that, you know, Kendrick Lamar was turning that minstrel character on its head, and the clown in this case was Trump, who was in the audience watching the whole damn thing. Number two was that Samuel L. Jackson warning Kendrick to play the game and not be ghetto. This wasn't just about the music, right? It was about respectability, politics, and how Black people are told to tone it down, act a certain way, not be too Black in spaces run by white America. And there are some great lessons learned around this too that we'll link to the post in the show notes. But number three was the Squid Game stage. The rich killing the poor. If you know Squid Games, you know it's about the rich controlling the poor for entertainment, betting on their lives, which they fight to survive. Kendra's performance reflected that we're often pawns in the system, specifically people of color, fighting for survival while those in power profit from struggles. Red, white, and blue dancers representing the American flag, but also, like we mentioned, prison uniforms and the Crips and the Bloods, and symbolizing America itself, a country that uses Black people, moves around like puppets, tells how to behave. And as I also mentioned, stage was a prison yard. It was a clear symbol of how Black people in America are trapped in a system designed to keep them locked up physically, financially, and mentally. Meanwhile, the background performers all sang in harmony, just like how Black folks are taught to accept the system and stay in line. I mean, there's so much more here, but that is just the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, we got to talk about Serena. I didn't even realize it was her at first.
Oh my
I knew there
God,
was a
the
political
Crip
message
walk.
when we started with this, but going, you know, having watched it, I could tell that there was symbolism happening, but I was one of those white people that was like, I know there's something here. I'm just not sure what it is. And couldn't wait to get home afterwards to look up all the articles to find out all this information, because I think it is such a powerful message that he was sending on such a largely watched stage, and, you know, potentially a political risk for him given the climate, but willing to make those arguments in front of this large audience. But yes, Serena coming out not just because she's Drake's ex-girlfriend and making that statement, but also she is from Compton and she crip walked at the Olympics and got shamed for that. But here she was able to do it in all of her glory and just look like the badass woman that she is on stage. And it was great to see her thriving in that moment.
Absolutely. And you know, ties into that bigger picture of Black women being undervalued, attacked, even by folks within the Black community. And you know, taking someone like Serena Williams and putting her on stage. I mean, it was brilliant. Yeah. So good. So good. So, more to come around that. Alana, anything else? I mean, so much.
Well, and I guess,
Again,
the big song that everyone was
episode.
expecting, Not Like Us, too, right?
Sure.
That's not just about him and Drake. It's about the system as a whole. And so I think it's just a great way to end it. So, well done, Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. He definitely took the opportunity that he was given. And, yeah. Well
what
done.
A way to celebrate Black History Month. On that note, the NFL removed end racism from their end zone, which it's had up since 2020 after the aftermath of George Floyd's murder and all the protests that followed.
Yeah.
And there was some controversy over this because people felt like it was because Trump was going to be attending the game that it was removed. Yes, it was replaced with Choose Love, and it takes all of us, and those messages are also very important as well. However, in a time where Trump is removing these federal DEI efforts, you're seeing corporations stepping down from their DEI statements and efforts across the board. It doesn't sit well with a lot of people that this was the time of which to remove it, especially when of all people he needs to see this. And so Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, is claiming that they're keeping their DEI programs and that it's not at odds with Trump's administration. Only time will tell. We shall see. Moving on. Lots to cover today.
Moving swiftly along. Okay, so let's do a quick review of our criteria.
Alignment.
Partnerships.
Call to action and transparency.
Engagement.
Optimization and amplification. And so in this episode, we will not be going necessarily hitting all of those on each one, but doing more of an overview and covering off some key points that we thought were worth mentioning because we wanted to make sure we acknowledged all of the spots that played in this space in some way. Steph, do you want to take us away with how we've seen some different companies empowering women in sports?
I would love to, Alana. Thank you. So I think one of the best ads of the Super Bowl, obviously we are going to touch on a few of them, but Nike's So Win. Some people loved it, others hated it, but the power in So Win, Nike's first Super Bowl ad in almost 3 decades, lies in its ability to call out a problem that many women can relate to, regardless of whether they are professional athletes or not. False limitations and expectations that are placed on women and girls about how we're supposed to behave or what we can or cannot accomplish or even what it means to be a woman in general. And this ad calls out all of those and showcases the women athletes who are quite literally yawning during the commercial at the criticism and flipping the script. So rock star athletes and role models that were featured in the spot: basketball players Asia Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, gymnast Jordan Childs, track sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson, soccer star Sophia Smith, and tennis player Arina Sabalenka. These are the athletes that are at the top of their game right now, right? And so you also had powerful narration by Grammy Award winner of Best Rap Album, which just days before, Doechii and Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, that's the soundtrack of the spot. And so this ad really brings a fresh take on Wyden and Kennedy's iconic black and white athlete ads that Nike has really become so legendary for. I also really appreciated that they had a female director. Kim Gehrig was behind the camera. She's an Australian director. And to say that Nike's DEI is alive and well, I hope is not an understatement. But again, time will tell, remains to be seen. And, you know, we always look at who's cross promoting and if the talent is involved, if they're helping out. And Asia Wilson really summed up the campaign nicely in her Instagram post. She said, "You'll be doubted, underestimated, and written off, whether you shine or fall short. So you might as well shine." And that just embodies this whole campaign and the women athletes that they chose to showcase and highlight. And, you know, even though there wasn't a direct nonprofit, you know, associated with the campaign or a women's organization, in 2021, Nike did announce a 4-year, $40 million commitment on behalf of the Nike brand, Jordan brand, and Converse to advance a more just and equitable society for Black Americans. In addition to the investment from Nike, Jordan brand, and Michael Jordan himself donated $100 million and has pledged to donate $100 million over the next 10 years. So Nike was saying our Black community commitment invests in strategic national partnerships and supports local community organizations. Some of their grantees currently include the NAACP empowerment programs, the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund, Black Girls Code, Black Girl Ventures, Goal Setter, and the National Urban League. So again, no direct correlation to the Super Bowl ad, but the company and its brands are actively supporting Black women and girls.
Yeah, and I will say Nike has been making a big play to really step up for women's sports between their partnerships with WNBA, their wellness focus area. They are investing in women in different ways. So taking what many think of as a very male-dominated sports and speaking to a female audience is a powerful use of their platform and their media buy. I will say
it was the right move.
Yeah. I mean, in all the Swifties, I will say I still think that the copywriting of like can't win, so win. I still wanted there to be less can't. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I think the messaging could have been delivered a little bit better. I love a good anthem spot. I love a Nike spot. They're always shot well. They're beautiful. There's so many things. But there was just something about it that I was like, felt a little short to me.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
You know.
So there were two camps for all creative, right? Either
of course. I mean, everything
resonates.
there always is. But I think especially when you talk about women's empowerment, I think there's like ways you can call things out sometimes without having to literally, or even if you're saying can't, it's like they say you can't. We've seen some ads in the past that have kind of addressed it from that perspective that I personally was of the camp that would have preferred a little bit of that sort of messaging. But overall, great execution.
Totally fair. Alana, take us through the next women's empowerment campaign.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because the next one is similar but different in the sense that still addressing the same issue but from a completely different angle. And honestly, there probably could be a really great partnership opportunity here. Dove, usually our gold standard, delivers once again, aired a spot called These Legs with a 3-year-old running through frame for the entire spot. Very simple, with the only text being, at 3, these legs are unstoppable. At 14, she'll think they're unbearable. Let that sink in. With the simple tagline of let's change the way we talk to our girls and hashtag keep her confident. And so in true Dove fashion, there is a whole campaign around keep her confident. And they do put their money where their mouth is. They note on their website that if you buy Dove between January 1st and February 28th, granted, hopefully people knew about this before now because we're almost through February, but Dove is donating 5 cents to Big Brothers and Sisters of America for every item purchased. And then also 5 cents to Boys and Girls Club of America with a minimum donation of $200,000 and maximum of $250,000. So they're being very transparent upfront, telling us how much money they're putting behind this specific effort. And they also had talent partnerships with this. They're working with a bunch of different ambassadors. Serena's sister Venus, for example, Kylie Kelsey, Tara Davis Woodall, and Odessa Jenkins, to help spread the word about body confidence sport programs and keeping girls in sports. They're also partnering with a number of different organizations, supporting coaches in building girls' body confidence, because obviously the coach is really important in a lot of these conversations. And have we seen what's happened in gymnastics and soccer and some other places, that could be a bad apple that affects people long term. So they're working with, there was actually a bunch of organizations here that I was not familiar with, like Laureus, but also WNFC, WBCA, Positive Coaching Alliance, Women's Sports Foundation, Rebel Girls, love their books, USA Flag, Bras for Girls. Sports bras are a big thing for girls staying in sports as well. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club of America, both as we mentioned. And they have a partnership with Sports Illustrated. They're releasing the first ever Re-Illustrated, which is going to celebrate young female athletes breaking barriers on their own terms. This is where I think Nike could have been an awesome partner as well. And they have a call to action. It's not too late. All these pieces are parts of the puzzle, and it's, it takes all of us. It does take all of us to shift culture in any moment, right? And so Dove is tackling this issue from their angle. Nike's tackling it from their angle. These organizations are doing the work on the ground. It's how can we all work together instead of everyone kind of in their silos. But they do also offer resources, as Dove does, because they take their insights seriously. Their insight for this was that 1 in 2 girls quit sports because they're criticized for their body type. So this is why they're trying to change this with this body confident sports program. And so all these resources are built around helping build up girls' body confidence and to keep them in sports. There's 3 parts to it. You can read advice from experts. You can download the resources and guides. And there's even a how to use guide for coaches. So it is a full effort. I think it's an awesome campaign and just always loved Dove. Oh, but I had my one miss. It just not related to the impact.
Oh, well, hold on. I also have a miss, but go ahead. You give yours first.
I just want to know where the parent is. There's a girl running, and I live in Los Angeles.
Spoken like a true mom.
I maybe just had PTSD from my child running around in front of her school and the driveways of Hollywood where you just don't know what's going to happen. But she's running for a long time. Where do they live? There's no cars. It just doesn't seem safe. When you film a commercial of the kid on a bike, they need to wear a helmet. If you're in a car, you need a seatbelt. Where's the parent? Okay, I'm done. Carry on. Okay.
That is way better than the missed opportunity I was going to mention, but
yours is probably more relevant.
It does. Well, it feels like a missed opportunity that Dove. I mean, I know it was a 30-second spot and they only have so much real estate, but that they will donate 5 cents to Big Brother, Big Sister for every item purchased right now. Clearly they are trying to kind of sweep that under the rug so that maybe they don't need to make the donation of $250,000, but I don't foresee that happening. So why wouldn't they just include that messaging into the spot itself? They know they have all these eyeballs. Just add it in. Just add it in.
I feel like the donation piece less relevant for the commercial piece, maybe showcasing the partners more important, because you don't really want the call to action to be to purchase product. You really want the call, because 5 cents is what you get when you recycle a can, right? When they charge you the extra, and I think it's 10 cents for the can, whatever. So that's not why someone's going to go out and purchase stuff today perchance, but maybe just saying or calling out that they're working with these other partners or organizations and some capacity acknowledging them. That could be cool.
Right. It's like when, who was it? When Microsoft had their adaptive controller commercial back in 2018, 2019, and they had worked with Able Gamers and so many other organizations in order to create this product, and no mentions of any of those organizations. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
They're very much highlighted on Dove's website, and I think ultimately they're sending people there.
Sure,
so I think at least they're doing the work there, and that's clear.
I'm trying to find the one thing that Dove could have done better.
The mom, the dad, the babysitter, anybody really. The coach, the teacher, I don't know. Somebody, a human.
Right.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
What else were women doing in the Super Bowl? Tell us, Steph.
Nothing screams 1985 quite like a mouth retainer with a headpiece. And that is what we
Love a
saw
good throwback ad.
in the NFL Super Bowl 59 Flag 50 spot. It featured high school flag football player Kilolo Westerland and basically dominating this character, Brad, the stereotypical dumb jock from the football team in this in-house NFL spot. The ad featured a diverse cast alongside Westerland, including former NFL players Marshawn Lynch and Pat McAfee. It's refreshing to see how the NFL uses its largest platform of the year with purpose. NFL CMO Tim Ellis told The Hollywood Reporter in an interview that the league uses 2 minutes each year to, quote unquote, transcend the game and create a big, bold, inspiring piece of creative that serves as a force for good from the NFL. And when I was doing some research, I saw that Westerland's message to younger girls was really powerful. She said, "Have no fear, just ball out and play your game," which feels like a nice antidote to the "you can't win, so win" of Nike. And the CTA here was make girls flag football a varsity sport in all 50 states. And we should also note that it was announced that flag football will actually be an official Olympic sport come the LA 2028 games. So
I didn't even realize that. Fun fact.
Right? Yeah, fun fact. And of course, as we've been discussing, all spots received some backlash, and this was no different, because folks felt that the campaign is promoting women's sports, and you don't need to do that by comparing women to men, which obviously we know, but sometimes you need to hit people over the head with it. And
also,
actually,
I think
a
there's
Redditor
that stereotype that so many people assume that flag football is like only for boys or that it's only a kid sport. I didn't even know
right?
Enough people played it as adults for it to be worthy of an Olympic sport, let alone that any schools had it as a high school sport. Like, that's pretty cool. I just remember in PE playing flag football. So I think that's awesome.
Well, and it's really fun too, because you know, when the players who are featured, retired NFL players, they were talking about how being a part of this ad was really special for them, because flag football was how all kids start playing football to begin with, and reminds them of how great the game is and how much they enjoy it. And so being able to share that with this wider audience and say, like, no, this is why it needs to be a varsity, girls flag football needs to be a varsity sport in all 50 states, so that we can continue to bring access and to bring so much joy to girls and to the sport. And speaking of that, also, actually, a Redditor, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, on that note too, the comparison, the reality of it is that school sports budgets, whether it's high school, whether it's college level, they get divided up, and often more money goes into providing men's sports. So you kind of do need to show this comparison, because there are only so many pieces of that financial pie in terms of how they will fund these programs. And so unfortunately, it just is the nature of the game.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And to that end, I saw that a Redditor shared that a mom said, "My kids thought it would be amazing for girls flag football to be everywhere. And my daughter shared that in PE class, when they played flag football, the boys never passed to the girls. So she was so glad that all the boys in her class were going to be seeing that commercial while they watched the Super Bowl." And I just thought that was chef's kiss.
That's really cute. Well, and look, it even goes back to Queen Taj, right? Who played football in middle school and was the only girl back then. Or I remember my high school football team, when I went there and I was cheering, we had one girl on the team and she was the kicker. And I think she may have been on the JV team. I don't remember if she played for the varsity team after that. So it's just creating a space where they can do their thing. And I will say they looked badass in that commercial.
So good. The next segment we're going to go into are spots that had a direct tie to social causes and nonprofits. So we first wanted to talk about, again, the NFL took their own in-house spot and created an anthem ad called I Am Somebody, or It Takes All of Us. And the idea behind this ad is it shows NFL players who are very active in their own communities, working with and volunteering with different youth organizations to empower the kids. And the tagline is, every kid can be somebody if they have somebody to show them the way. And so, just showing the importance of mentorship, of volunteering, and of being role models. The NFL is committed to ongoing support of a variety of programs that demonstrate what strong leadership looks like and recognizing the power of positive, healthy adult relationships in the lives of youth. So, this year, the NFL has dedicated resources to more than 50,000 different youth organizations across the country and around the world. And they say that this comes to life through their mentorship programs, coaching development, unified athletics, and more, ultimately empowering millions of young people to reach their fullest potential. Some of the featured nonprofits of the 50,000 were Big Brothers Big Sisters, Inside Out, and the Special Olympics. Those were the three that were featured in the spot, although clearly there are many, many more. Alana,
yeah, because I think that incorporates, right? That incorporates the individual organizations and the work that they do as well, because I think it's a pillar of the NFL community impact. And so not only does the NFL do it as a whole on their level, but then individually across different teams, they have some of their own initiatives. I really wanted to see who the other orgs are too. I wish somewhere there was access to a list that you could see everywhere this money was going and
Agreed.
what sort of programs they were doing, because also across organizations it would be great to see what the Eagles are doing, what the Chiefs are doing, what the 49ers are doing, just being able for the teams as well to cross compare their programs and pull from each other and things like that. And maybe they do, who knows. I would just love to see more, and I guess maybe you just have to go to the teams at that point, but it's amazing to see that they do always seem to have this true impact and utilizing again this platform aside from usually they're showcasing their Play 60 program. So it was nice to see the importance of mentorship in kids' lives. And if you want to learn more, they have a whole landing page as they do and all of those things. So, and I guess that's where their line in the end racism getting replaced to "It Takes All of Us" comes from. But I love a good anthem spot. So I was like getting amped from the I am.
I am somebody.
I'm like,
oh, so
I'm not on a team sport. I'm not doing these things, but I want to be. Let's go play the game.
I am somebody.
Yeah. I loved it. It gets me.
It was so good. Yeah, it was great. That was the point. That's exactly what it was supposed to do.
Exactly.
Well done, NFL. What's next?
Moving away from sports and focusing on the boobies. Novartis, a drug company, their first Super Bowl spot ever called Your Attention Please, featuring Wanda Sykes. And it is about breast cancer screening, though for some watching it, they may not have gotten that far in this spot because there was a lot of...
They just saw the tits jumping around.
Lots of tatas bouncing around for an extensive period of time.
Woo!
But ultimately, the point of this spot was to showcase that so often boobs are just stared at. And ironically, you can't put them up on a billboard in Times Square, but it's okay to flaunt them around at the Super Bowl. I digress. Some people were so distracted at our Super Bowl party that at the end, one of the guys at the Super Bowl party I was at said, "Get what checked?" Because he didn't understand FTCA at the end when Wanda Sykes was talking about the stats and why early detection is important, because early detection had saved her own life and the importance of this, but he was like, check what? I don't understand. I'm like, this isn't meant for you. It's meant for the ladies to get their boobies checked and all the guys to make sure their boobies are safe so they can help remind them. But that's fine. On the counter to that, my mom, who I mentioned before, had recently had an early diagnosis. Really felt this hit home this time because an early diagnosis was also so helpful for her. So the importance of that and having those conversations, again, really important. And again, the research behind this, which I had actually been talking about while working at another healthcare company last year, was that a lot of people miss their screenings. And that data from the CDC shows that 66% of women age 40 and older are up to date on their mammograms. So that means 44% aren't, which is pretty close to 50. And so 1 in 3 women are not being screened as it is recommended. The CDC does recommend that you get this annually after 40 or 45, depending on where you are. But also if you are younger, which we've talked about before, and have certain genes that make you more susceptible to get it, you're supposed to be starting your screenings even younger. This is so important because it is preventable if you do find this earlier, which is, you know, why it makes sense that Novartis would use this platform and talk about it. And as we've talked about previously too, the staff of American Cancer Society, that there's a 1 in 8 chance that the average woman will develop breast cancer in her lifetime. So it's kind of silly to think it couldn't happen to me because that's a pretty high percentage, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the rates are increasing in young women.
Survivor.
Sorry?
I was just sharing that my grandmother is a breast cancer survivor, and we've had a few scares in the family, and early detection.
We all know
everything.
More than one is likely, right?
Yeah.
It's nuts, and the rates are actually going up, especially in young women, which is interesting. So stay vigilant, get your boobies checked. Interesting approach. Maybe not necessary to use a full 60 seconds. Maybe make the CTA a little more clear. But again, appreciate, and it also does affect different communities different. So I think Wanda Sykes being a spokesperson was also a really important choice that they made. And there's a whole campaign online that incorporates other talent. I forget who, but there is
Haley Steinfeld was also in it too, to ostensibly hit the younger demographic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is if you do go to the Your Attention Please website, they do have some other calls to action. You can sign up to get reminders to screen, or you can set up reminders to learn about your risks. So they're trying to educate. They do have a number of nonprofit partners. They're working with Susan G. Komen, with Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, Living Beyond Breast Cancer, breastcancer.org, Sisters Network, Know Your Lemons, so many different great organizations. Again, could we have acknowledged some of them maybe in this spot instead of it just being about Novartis, who probably sells the meds if you are diagnosed? So anyhow, it's great that they have nonprofit partners. It's great that they have a call to action. Just could boost it a little bit.
Missed opportunity.
Moving on to a completely different subject with some other controversial characters.
Woof. Oh, man. The Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism. #StandUpToAllHate. So this was put on by Robert Kraft's organization, and the whole idea behind this campaign is it's not just about anti-Semitism, right? It's about how someone looks, where they live, how they choose to pray. The reasons for hate are as stupid as they sound. Let's find common ground and put an end to all hate, which ironically they used Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady to embody what it means to combat all hate. Just
making it very black and white.
Yeah. Ebony and ivory, if you will. But, as we know, both Snoop and Tom Brady both supported Trump. And some viewers online were not impressed with Robert Kraft's choice of spokespeople, pointing out that Snoop Dogg performed last month at Trump's inauguration, who has obviously just screams anti-Semitic, homophobic, racist, xenophobic, all the things. So, that was just a delight. The intention is there. The execution was wanting.
Unfortunately, ended up affecting the message, because then people dismiss the message
Right.
as not important, which is a bummer in all of this conversation around DEI removal and
Correct.
NFL removing and racism and all of these things. And the irony is, this wasn't even a conversation about anti-Semitism in the context of the spot. They said that they were paying for it, but other than that, it was just hate in general. And I thought that quote we saw from Kraft was
and
so
adding
important.
adding irony, right? Adding irony onto irony. Kanye West had an entire Super Bowl, took out a Super Bowl ad for Shopify to go to Yeezy.com, where he was selling a T-shirt with a swastika on it and nothing else. No
Shopify has since
other
dropped the
merchandise.
website, by the way.
Thank God. I mean, that's the least
Shopify
that
dropped
they
him.
can
I
do.
saw somebody else drop him, but I don't know who they were. But it still was uncomfortably long, and I feel like it's no surprise that it was Fox that was okay airing this, because usually there's
of course.
so much legal that every spot has to go through to get on air. So the fact that that made it through is kind of obscene. But just to bring that back to what I was going to say about the quote we saw from Kraft, he said, "I don't recognize parts of this nation. I don't like where we're headed. I'm worried about our country right now." And this is, obviously about why he thought it was so important to run this spot this year during the Super Bowl. He said, "In Germany, it all started with the Jews. Then the Nazis went after everyone. What I would say to some Americans is, you're next. Jews, blacks, Asians, the LGBTQ plus community. It won't stop with the Jews. You're next until we all stand together." And he believes that the majority of Americans are good people. The majority of people watching this are good people. And that people might often think that there's nothing that they can do, but that the thing that we can do is to stand up to hate. So this is why it was not just about being anti-Semitic. It was just about hate in general. And it's just a bummer that he didn't think through his casting choices.
All right. Let's see. We have the first climate change ad. Alana, this is your bread and butter. Take us through the Science Mom.
Potential Energy Coalition and Science Moms. I've been following their work for a while, and they've done some very cool creative in the past. This time they ran a 30-second spot called By the Time. It was only aired in the LA market and on some of the streaming platforms. So I did see it in live time because I am in LA. And it shows children growing up with a voiceover stating that there will be 9 billion more tons of carbon pollution in the air by the time this baby that you're, saying cute baby that always works at Super Bowl ads draws her first breath, and that wildfires have already eviscerated millions more acres than she would have explored by the time she learns to walk. So it's really poignant given the recent LA fires. It says again, by the time a child that's born today goes to college, it may be too late to leave them the world we promised, which is horrifying when you think, because as a mother, you tell your children you're going to protect them and you have their best interests in mind and you'll keep them safe. And this is just throwing that in your face, saying good luck with that. And it says our window to act on climate change is like watching them grow up. We blink and we miss it. So they're really trying to pull at those heartstrings of parents or anyone who has watched a child grow up to an adult from being a baby and realizing how much the world is going to change in that short period of time. Their CTA was specific to donating to the LA wildfire survivors through its website.
So nice.
I mean, I know that that's a really important issue, but it still seemed to lose the actual climate message. And it was kind of confusing watching it at its busy Super Bowl party. I wanted more. I wanted to love it.
Yeah.
It was ranked in the New York Times as one of the best ads. It was created with an in-house partnership with York Productions. Like, there were all these great elements to it. I thought I'd saw somewhere that they had been gifted their media buy, but I couldn't find who had gifted it to them. I'm glad some people liked it. I wish everyone saw it, because climate change isn't just a California thing. It's just not an LA thing. And more people in LA probably believe in climate change than the rest of the country. So
right. I was going to say, in terms of targeting. Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
you need more eyeballs.
No wonder Fox didn't, run it nationally.
It's a different media buy, regional versus national. It's much more affordable. So they probably didn't have it. It's hard to get in nationally, but still, I just wanted more.
Right.
We'll see what they do with this past that, but yeah.
the point is that they're preaching to the choir, right?
Yeah. If the choir even heard them.
Right. If nobody muted the commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to have gotten
right.
a lot of impressions online. It was written up in a bunch of places. You know, before the actual game, they were trying to get people to repost and share. Lots of climate scientists, which makes sense, were kind of sharing about it, and people in the space. But it just seemed like a missed opportunity to have a larger impact.
Fair enough. That's why
Let's take it home.
Okay, so let's end with this one spot that could be considered a social impact ad but maybe it didn't set out to have a political statement or social impact, but they could have, and they didn't. So what was the ad, Alana?
Jeep and Harrison Ford. Again, I love a good anthem spot. I'm really a sucker for them.
Yeah, can't be mad about it. Also, Harrison Ford talking about the real heroes. So much good stuff in here. But yeah. Let's jump in.
He talks about life not coming with an owner's manual. It's obviously beautiful lifestyle, car spot vibes.
Yeah.
Also driving footage. He's saying, since life doesn't come with an owner's manual, we get to write our own stories. Freedom is a yes or no or maybe. Freedom is for everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
But it isn't free. It's earned. Yeah. There are real heroes in the world, but not the ones in the movies. Real heroes are humble. Interesting. They're not driven by pride. Interesting. Pride is a terrible driver. Freedom is the roar of one man's engine and the silence of another's. Freedom is the ability to inspire. Wouldn't that be nice? The most sacred thing in life isn't the path, it's the freedom to choose it. You don't have to be friends with someone to wave at them. We won't always agree on which way to go, but our differences can be our strength. So choose wisely. Choose what makes you happy. And then he goes on to say that he chooses Jeep, even though his last name is Ford, which he whispers, and there's a whole thing there. So on one level, it appears this is a gas versus EV sort of a situation.
Sure.
And that's fine, because some people think EVs are political, which maybe they are. There also weren't very many auto ads at all in this year's Super Bowl, which used to be the staple. I think this was the only one, actually. Oliver Francois, who's behind this ad, says it's not political. But, like, how is that not? Did you read your script? If you want to believe that that's political, you totally can believe that that's political. I think there's a statement being made here, just like everyone who watched Kendrick Lamar and saw that and was like, there's something underlying this. Let me go read the commentary later because I want to know. I think there's a hidden message that they don't want to admit. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. Yes, 1000% yes. And, you know, the other miss here was that Jeep really does support veterans. And so when Harrison Ford talks about the real heroes that aren't the ones in the movies, that could have easily lent itself to a tie-in supporting veterans in some way because they already do. So celebrate the work that you already do. And
yeah, because they featured veterans in the spot, many.
Exactly.
Or people who were dressed like veterans.
So, sure. But they do offer a military incentive program where, you know, they offer anybody who's in the military $500 off. And they also come out with special edition freedom packages and freedom editions where they donate $250 to military charities for each vehicle sold. And, you know, they donate to multiple military charities through, I don't know, they have the Nexen Tires Hero Jeep Wrangler campaign where they bring in 5,000 veterans who get nominated to receive Wranglers. So, like, there are things that they're already doing. Exactly. So, yeah, that to me felt like the missed opportunity. Celebrate the work that you do already.
Yeah, totally. And interesting on the EV, non-EV conversation, because I didn't even totally pick up if that was the political statement being made or not being made. I wanted it to be a deeper American statement, even though they're a very American brand in some ways. That it is a much different take on the traditional EV spot. And I feel like we have been very much moving to this space where EVs and non-EVs are being showcased in the same spots, and people aren't just solely pushing their EVs on their own and giving people that choice. And I don't know. So needless to say, interesting approach. Let's just, rethink about what a hero is and what freedom really is, and save our country. Okay. And with that, we will wrap it up. We hope that you learned something today about a different lens that you could take while watching the Super Bowl and all the commercials that we all love to hate. So next year, keep an eye out, see who's celebrating the nonprofits and local partners that they're working with, see what social issues you see on screen. I did also see a statistic that said that the number of white men in the commercials outweighed the number of white men actually in the demographic numbers for the US, like the demographic breakdown, so that there was more white men on screen, which is interesting because I thought there were some spots that were more diverse, but there were also a lot that were very much not. So they overbalanced per usual. So again, let's all rethink DEI. It's both within our companies. It's what we're putting on screen. This shapes people's view of the world. It's important to think about how we're presenting our companies, how we're presenting people. Be kind, stand up to hate. It takes all of us.
And you are somebody.
And you are somebody. So win.
So win. Because you can. Oh, thank you always to our amazing producer, Alana Ficalora. Thanks for all of our listeners for your support and for helping us shine a light and learn from those who are doing it well and reduce the missed opportunities for good.
We want to hear from you. Let us know, what campaigns are you seeing that are doing it well? Who would you like to see us interview? And what campaign would you like us to audit?
Thank you so much for joining us on our mission to revolutionize the industry that we love.
Missed Opportunities for Good is powered by Love of Good and Aligned for Impact. To learn more, visit links in the show notes, and don't forget to follow us.